Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for attending tonight. We Process IQ was recently acquired by Molycop, and this week we had a big get together and planning session, and we decided to have a little bit of an event and invite a few people. Maybe a little bit short notice, and a lot of people working on mine sites, but pretty good turnout. We're very happy with everybody here. There's a lot of people here from members of part of the team, which is Process IQ and Molycop, of course, but also with our joint venture partners, which is Allway Mineral Consultants. And as you guys know, they're owned by Lycopodium, so there's a few people from Lycopodium as well. So I just wanted to welcome everybody from those companies and also from people from different mine sites that's joined us. Then I just wanted to introduce our new president of Process IQ, Darren O'Connell. So he's been with Molycop for many years in the marketing side of the business, and I'll let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit more about himself, but also about Molycop and also the future of where we see things going with this acquisition.
Thank you. The beer's working. Look, thank you everyone for coming today, particularly our customers and our strategic partners. Really appreciate you taking the time to come down and talk to us and spend some time and meet our people. What I'd like to do for you today is, the guys at work will say basically I'm from marketing, so I'm all fluff and rubbish and not a lot of substance, but I think where I add to the group is I like to talk in stories. I think they convey messages better than anything else. Before I came here, they gave me a list of all the things I've got to talk to you about. I said, what do our customers and our partners want to hear? So one of them was, who is Molycop? Now, I can give you a very practical overview of that. I've been selling who that is for a number of years. But what I want to do is give you a story, because I think understanding what a company does is one thing, but understanding what motivates it is more important for me. So this is a piece of work that one of the last things I had to do before I left the business was the CEO of the company said, I want you to encapsulate in 2 minutes, no longer, what our whole company stands for and why our people get up every morning and go to work. And you can't use shareholder returns. So I thought, shit, because that's what we've been saying for the last 10 years. So we had to basically work through and look at our business. Our business is very diverse. We sell into 76 countries. We've got manufacturing facilities in 12. We've got 1,600 people across the group. The heart of our earnings is in South America, Chile, Brazil, Peru. A lot of cultural diversity within our business. So to try and encapsulate that in one thing is very difficult. Well, I found it very difficult. So what I'm going to do is show you the video that we did that basically try to encapsulate what motivates our business. So we're going to step through it, and I'm going to tell the guys to pause in certain bits, just so I can emphasise a few things for you. So click off.
There are things out there beyond the cities, beyond the lights. Valuable things that exist at the very ends of our world. Things that are so precious, they allow ordinary people everywhere to enjoy life's simple pleasures.
So if we can hold it there, I think a couple of things I want to point out is we tried to get a voiceover man for this, and we went through about 16 voiceover guys, and the guy we ended up picking is actually the CEO. And he probably had the best voice, but he wanted to do it because he really wanted to front this and say, this is from me. And basically what he decided to do and what we wanted to show is we sell a lot of consumable products. It's very easy to sell consumable products. Anyone can do it. But what you've got to do is have a support network to support it. And particularly in regions, in mining regions, if you're not local, if you don't have people on the ground, solutions just don't work. So what you're going to do is you're going to track 3 people, our applications engineers who work for Levy, as they go about their day in Chile and Australia and in Canada. So we're going to go, one of the things that we do is some of our customers, they don't build mines next to Sydney or Melbourne. They're typically in the middle of Alaska or the Andes or the Amazon. So you're going to follow someone going to pretty close to the Yukon territories in Canada. And we're also going to go to Antofagasta here and a lithium mine in Western Australia. So go ahead.
There are also people out there bravely exploring, discovering and developing these precious resources. Skilled, committed people who venture to these far-off places to build the mines that deliver the resources needed in every corner of the globe. And while few ever spare a thought for these new age explorers, we do. For us, these companies shoulder the responsibility of progress. They keep society moving forward, building sustainable relationships, and developing the communities they work with.
And three-quarters of the way through, when my boss was watching this, he said, "You haven't mentioned one of our products once yet. What's happening?" So basically, when we looked and talked to all of our people, the things that they most liked about the industry, the business that they work for was the industry we support. 98% of our sales is to mining. So when you talk to our people, particularly the people that work for Levy and other parts of our business, they get very excited when they get on mine sites. They love the big assets. They love the big concentrators, all these great toys. Mines typically have a lot of problems. It's a very integrated process. So if they're people who have got a lot of knowledge, they also can help a lot on the mine sites. So yeah, keep playing.
And we proudly stand beside them. In fact, we go with them to these places out there that others deem too hard, too far, or too costly. We go to liberate the value of every resource. We go to the ends of the earth.
Stop there for me. So this is an example of a customer who helped us out in Canada. I won't say the name of the customer, but they allowed us to film at the film site. And I've taken 3 guys from Melbourne with black skivvies, very metrosexual looking dudes with all their cameras and drones, and it's the last thing a mine wants to see. So this lady here, Chelsea, organised it for us because a lot of work that we've done helping that mine. And very interesting story with Chelsea. After we shot this, about 3 months later, she was hiking in Turkey. She got posted over there. There was an earthquake and she fell 60 metres and broke her back. And so what happened was when our CEO found out about that and how she helped us, he bought her a $25,000 mobility bike so that she could get around the mine site and get around. So I think it just sort of shows you the sort of connection we have with some of the customers that we work with. Here she is here. So she's actually now, she's got a new fund and we're supporting her in Canada with that. She's looking at mobility on mine sites. They're probably one of the worst and hardest places to have any sort of mobility type of access for customers. So she set up a fund to help get more women in mining and also more women who have got disabilities and can get around the mine site. So if we can flick back.
Ends of the earth.
How's it going? Good, good. How are you doing?
With them and for them to ensure our finite resources are responsibly used while never compromising on safety and always fulfilling our promise. We are Molycop.
That's an interesting one. So I used to live in Chile for 6 years. I was just saying to Matthew before, he's just come back from Chile. When we were filming this, the guys I'm with, it's all about the shoot. It's all about the production value and everything. And they said, take me to a mine where you're driving to a mine. So you can see a mine in the background there in the Atacama Desert. And he wanted to get a view of this. So we're driving down this road, and I think I took the wrong road to go in. And as I'm driving the truck, and you'll see it, actually it was just before that if you can go back a little bit, you'll see I go incredibly fast because as I'm driving down it, I read the sign, and my Spanish is not the best, but when I looked at it, I read it, it said armas, and if anyone knows Spanish, that means it was a military shooting zone, so artillery firing zone. So as I'm doing this, I'm going like hell just here because I'm thinking I'm going to get bombed in about 5 seconds, and this guy is all about, no, slow down, the shoot's looking really good, I'm getting a really good pullback and all this, and you'll see me at the very end of this in the off take, so I just swoosh it and go around the corner and drive straight through a fence pretty well to get out off this mine. So, but this is just an example of some of the places we have to go to for our customers.
And we're in the business of liberating value for those we serve. To the ends of the earth and back.
Yeah, so that probably doesn't tell you a lot about what we do, but I think it sort of highlights why we do it, which is really to support the mining industry, which we think has a critical role to play in today's society. So the other things I've been asked to talk about is the strategic intent behind the acquisition. We've been watching Process IQ for some time, And I think some of the things that appealed to us about this business was we thought they had some solutions that could really help people in the comminution and leaching space. We thought that we were very complementary to them, that we could bring a lot of capability to them that they probably didn't have, which is size, scale, reach, and particularly that service element in region, plus a lot of intellectual brain power around to support them that they already have around milling and leaching. And what does the future look like for them? We're basically going to do all we can to support this business and build it. We see it's going to be a fantastic model that we want to take to the world. So we're heavily invested in making this business grow, and you as customers and partners are very critical to that. So part of the capability we can bring to the table is people like we've got on the stage here, and Brian, if I can ask you to come up as well. So I'll let these guys introduce themselves, but we have Levy, I think combined, there's probably about 120 years worth of experience in the mining industry up here on stage. Levy Guzman is our head of technical applications and processing applications. He's got a team of around 22 people. He's been with us now for 30 years. He was one of the co-inventors of Molycop tools and has a wealth of experience, particularly in South America and North America. We have Carl, who is based in Florida and is the inventor of the mill slicer tool. And fantastic to have both the inventor of the tool and the key people who extract the value now in the one organisation. Eduardo Nunes has been in the mining industry for about 19 years, originally from Peru, but has been based in a number of operations, most recently at Teck with Highland Valley Copper, one of the largest copper mines in Canada. And Brian, I know a little bit about your history, but Brian has a personal brand that's probably very, very well known within Australia around the comminution industry and consulting. Is highly regarded. So I'll hand over to Peter, but I'm looking forward to meeting you all. If you have any questions, please come and see me. Thanks.
Okay, so thanks, Darren. That was amazing. You know, I think seeing the story behind Molycop and the people behind it is really what it's all about. And, you know, that intentional support and how seriously they're taking it, you know, all around the world to actually support the mining industry. And it's not just about selling another product. It's really about being there for the industry, for the clients, and for the people behind it. So we tried to do a bit of a panel discussion just to do something at this event, I suppose. It's not really that serious or that technical, but we're going to ask people a few questions. And I think we also put out a little bit of a challenge today is if you're interested in how to use Molycop tools, we said that the person that's coming up with the most interesting question, not necessarily the best one, actually can get a free course of Molycop tools, which obviously you can give to yourself or to one of your team members. The value of that is approximately $2,000, I think, if you had to do it online. And everybody that's here actually is welcome to a free copy of it, because it is actually, until now, it was pretty much a free tool. Obviously, you have to know how to use it. So that's where the training course comes in. Okay, so we've got our panel here, and I'm going to start it with Levy. So, you know, we're really honored to have you guys here, and we've actually, just by the way, a lot of our team members haven't met each other until tonight. So, you know, a lot of people are like, hey, I always only see you on Teams, you're a lot taller. No, I thought you were, you know. So, you know, that's a really great opportunity for us to all meet each other as well. So, and we're honored to have some people from the industry as well. So, Levy, the first question for you is it true that you've got the biggest balls in South America?
So I think this is true. Well, I don't know how is the industry here in Australia, but the trends, for example, in comminution in South America especially, we have bigger ball mills, SAG mills. They're 40-feet mills. We begin with 5 inches balls, they move to 5.5, and then the customers are requesting for 6 inches balls. and also they asked us how is the bigger size you can produce things. So it depends. It depends about the material, the raw material availability. But what I think is not really the size of the bulb. The really, the really do you want to think is about the performance of the bulb.
Right. So I can see Carl is vibrating with excitement. And yeah, can you tell us a little bit about the story behind Mill Slicer and the technology developed? Where does it come from? How did you come up with the idea, if you can remember? I don't know if you were sober enough, but if you can tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so first of all, Levy, I think they meant huevos, not balls, for the translation. And I don't remember ever seeing this in the contract and the merger that this was going to occur. So I'm Carl Google. I'm actually the original Google. So I'm waiting for that company to get a little bit larger before I sue them. When I was a grad student, I designed some digital signal processing boards, and I was selling them through the mail. And my company was in an apartment, and there was a gentleman who, from Cemex, which is a large cement plant, my business partner, Jaime Ramirez over here, who purchased some of these boards and said that we would like to design a new system to monitor sound coming off of mills to determine the volumetric fill level in mills. And I said, sounds like a great idea. And so we went down that path and started designing everything. And it was going to move out of my apartment. We were going to get a large warehouse and start manufacturing for Cemex. They're the third largest cement company in the world. And the project then got canceled. And so my dreams of glory evaporated. And so what we decided then was to form a company together. And so we formed Digital Control Lab, and we created a product for cement, and we sold several hundred of them. And then 2009, the housing crisis hit. When the 2009 housing crisis hit, all cement production went to zero. And for several months, there was zero sales. Luckily, at the time, I was a professor at the University of Florida part-time. I've been a professor at the University of Florida for 24 years up until last year when we merged with Molycop. And so in 2009, I said, Jaime, we got to create something for mining. I think gold has a higher margin than cement. And so we began experimenting and putting sensors on mills, cement mills, and eventually created a system. And one of our customers who took our cement product then put it on I think it was called a double rotator in Nevada, which was a mine. And it worked really well, but our cement product didn't work on a variable speed mill. And so later we then adapted it, and that particular person went over to Robinson Mining Company, where we then put a system on it. And then Barrick Gold across the street heard about it, and they purchased one, and then they purchased another, and pretty soon we were selling systems here and there. Well, we were a two-person company all this time. And I remember then at one point we decided, well, we really need to start selling in Australia. And we contacted the State Department. And I don't know how the government agencies are here, but our government agencies rarely bear fruit. But in this case, they gave us 3 companies to work with. And it turned out that Process IQ had the best match with us. And so when we talked with Peter and Daniel and everybody got along, and then Process IQ then, quadruple or 5 times our current sales. And then from there we got on radar of several larger companies. And then Molycop saw us and realized that it was a good fit. But yeah, so it started in my apartment. And I remember one time I was selling boards, and again it was through like magazines and email. And I had a customer then who came to the apartment and knocked on the door, and they were like, is this really digital control lab? And as a grad student, you don't wake up until at least 10 o'clock. So I had like a bathrobe on, and I opened the door. I said, yes, it is. And they were so disgusted, that so disappointed. They were expecting some big company and some fanfare or something, and they just turned around and walked away. But that's a long story, I guess.
All right. No, that's excellent. Thanks, Carl. Really interesting story. Yeah. So, and Carl has a really good relationship with these customers all over the world. And his best customer sitting next to him, Eduardo, that was at Island Valley Cop. When I see these two, they always have their tennis rackets ready. So when Carl's stepping off the plane, Eduardo's already waiting for him with a tennis racket. And so I sort of sometimes look at you and I think, well, you look a little bit like a digital twin. And and that sort of leads me into my next question with Eduardo. If you can maybe just tell us a little bit more about how you actually use these tools, not in detail, but just the story behind it, I suppose. And all these buzzwords that we hear about digital twin and AI, is it real?
Thank you, Peter. It's my first time here in Australia in Perth, and it's a beautiful place. I fall in love, and also meeting with people that I have seen in Teams and LinkedIn, and like Craig and other people here. So it's amazing to be here, and I'm enjoying my time here. The digital twins and the buzzwords. So, what is my opinion on that? So, I think many of the things that we are doing today, or we're renaming today, comes from the e-commerce with all this booming and all that, and we're renaming things that we have been doing in the past. And I don't think one is better than the other. I think all of those technologies are good and they have their time and their place. The problem that I see right now is that a lot of people want to do things even without knowing what they are doing, just because it's famous, like AI. Everyone wants to do AI, and sometimes it's not the right tool, the right place. And I always remember when I started in controls, like expert systems was that everyone want to have an expert system without even knowing if they want it. And then one time I read that for a person with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And that's what a lot of people, I think, are trying to do. But I believe the solution is in going to the basics and making sure that you start measuring the right things. And that's how I end up with using the mill slicer. Because I believe that we needed to know what was happening in the mill. And despite that, I started doing my own experiments with microphones and my own vibration sensors, trying to measure how my washer was doing things in my house. Then I went to the site conference and I met Carl. And it was impressive for me to see how this instrument was already live. It was already doing something, and I guess I was probably one of the early adopters in the big sack mills, and that's how it started. But everything started by measuring and not just assuming the things and not just only going straight to the big solutions like the AI and the machine learning, that I think they are great solutions and they have their place, but it's not the only tool that we have. I think it's important to go to the basics. And then from that, it started like measuring, understanding the signals, developing new signals that we start finding, doing a lot of experimentation. So it wasn't an overnight. It was probably about 4 years of experimenting with things to the point that we took it to controlling the mills and very successful in knowing exactly where we're impacting. A lot of people ask, where is the toe? And I think we have been able to know, we know today where is the toe and how we can impact the toe. And if we impact the toe of the load, I think we can get the better throughputs, the better grinding size, the saves and energies and all that. So that's how that started.
Thanks, Eduardo. So, I think one of the things that Molycop did here is they looked around and they said, let's get everybody that's, the best in the world that we can find, and let's put a team together. And we're trying to we're still figuring out how we're going to do this and how we're going to work together. But I think the one thing that we do know is we're one team. We're going to work on it together, and we've got this joint venture that we started with OMC. We call Allway IQ, and I think some of you might have heard of that. Actually been amazingly successful. We've got Brian here today, and I think we just sort of going a little bit off script, Brian, but it'd be great if you can maybe just tell us a little bit about how you see the background of that, and also how do you think we're addressing the challenges in the mining industry with what we're doing?
Thanks, Peter. Allway IQ is a joint venture we set up. It stemmed from the fact that we've been doing optimizations the company's been around for 40 years now, and we go to a lot of mine sites, and when you have the right team that has the right background, we think we find solutions on mine sites really quite quickly, and we often write reports for sites and we give them to them, and then often we get called up 2 years later, asked to come and help them, and they're back with the same problems they had 2 years before. Some of them implemented them and then slipped back to where they were. Others never even implemented what we had instructed them to do to sort out their problems. So within Allway, we started working with our clients on a continual optimization type process. So once we'd identified things, we worked with them to continually tune things, coach them to make sure they're actually implementing. And a lot of that stemmed from, I think, that, and you'll probably see in the mining industry as a whole, and I think what OMC offers is a real benefit is a holistic look at circuits. You often see someone, you're talking about grinding circuits here, having problems with their cyclones, and they'll go and talk to the cyclone vendor, and cyclone vendor, with the limited amount of information they're given around their little black box, offers a solution. But a cyclone's a part of a larger grinding system, and the grinding systems are part of a larger total processing plant. And you often find that the right solution in terms of the cyclones isn't the right solution in terms of the bigger picture. And the right solution, even for the cyclones, can sometimes be not able to be implemented because of other constraints within the circuit. So once you've told someone to do something, you need to follow up, look at it, understand what the other constraints are, sometimes eliminate those, and then move forward again. So we were doing that with our clients, but when we got data from clients, it was a month, 2 months, 3 months later. So you're always working on what you could have done, not what can we fix something now, and can we really get you some real value that you haven't had lost opportunity in the time it's taken for you to do what you're doing and come and talk to us. And that led us to a path of meeting Process IQ with their process control background and their IoT platform. And we were looking to head down that path ourselves. But like Peter was saying, we looked at it and we were experts in comminution, process plant, engineering. We've got a very strong diversified group, but we're not process control implementers, we're not database, we're not data science. And rather invent the wheel, a bit like Molycop's doing now with Process IQ, we found it best to partner with another company that was strong in that area, and hopefully make 1 + 1 = 3 and a stronger group together. And the data acquisition through Millrocks allowed us to instantaneously get data from sites. It's got a strong platform for data analytics, both traditional and also moving into machine learning, and a great dashboard system to allow us to communicate and coach our clients to move forward. So yeah, I think it's really offered something for the industry that was a little bit different than what was being offered around because of its immediate access and also a holistic approach to what we do. I said we look at the mills of process control, but we'll look at their recoveries and maybe you get more tonnes out of the mill because the grind size needs to change, or we can't get the process control implemented because there's some engineering changes required around pumps and the amount of process water you have and things like that. So I think the holistic approach and the strong data acquisition has really led us to where we are with the company.
Thanks, Brian. So, obviously today we can't really, it's not a huge, big technical discussion. We don't really have time for this. This is more about meeting the people behind what we're doing and a bit of networking and so on. We are planning a seminar in the next couple of months where we sort of going to have a full day of technical talks. So keep an eye out for that. If you want to be on the mailing list for that, just make sure you let Marinella know that we can notify you when we have these events. Today was a very interesting day for me already. We did have some technical talks from, for example, Levi showing us what the quality of work they're doing particularly in South America for their clients from their applications engineering team. And it's amazing to me to see the science behind grinding media and how selecting just the right size of grinding media can actually help you to improve your throughput, even if you didn't change anything else. And selecting the wrong size can be catastrophic. So something as simple as that, but his team does a lot of work, and I think we can't go over that in this discussion or everything we do. That's not the intention. But saying that, we did open the floor to questions. So yes, I'm hoping there's some questions from anybody, whether it's from our team or from customers. Anybody's welcome to ask a member of the panel or Darren or myself as well a question.
I can help you with the microphone.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Pass it. If there's a question. No question.
Is it really $2,000 for a question?
No, it's if you get it right.
Ask a question to Brian.
Okay, Carl's going to ask a question to Brian, so fire it up.
So the first time I met Brian, I can't remember where we first met, but Brian, for some reason, knew me. So the second time I saw him, we were in the Dominican Republic. We were at Pueblo Viejo. And when you're in the Dominican Republic at Pueblo Viejo, everybody looks more similar to the gentleman on my left and right, and nobody has an Australian accent. And so this chap comes up from behind me and puts his, "Good day, mate." And I was just like, so Brian, where did we first meet?
Good point. I think we did meet at one of the early SAG conferences, I think. And one of the partners we have in the organisation of OMC who runs the Canada office, Andrea Festa, had worked with you over the years and I think recommended you for that first introduction. So I probably remembered you a bit more than you probably remembered me out of all the people you met at a SAG conference, because Andrea pointed out someone we probably should talk to about the technology and thought it had real potential.
Where's my check?
Looks like Carl's going to get Molycop tools training. Anybody else up for a question or a comment?
So I know you're probably still trying to work this out, but fast forward 24 months, is the Process IQ going to have a bigger presence in the Americas, or is that going to fold under Molycop? You guys to us are big here in Africa, not so big over there. What do you think it's going to be in the future for a customer?
Molycop, Darren wants to answer that one. Okay. He said, otherwise I'm going to tell you Process IQ is going to take over the world.
Take a look at the org chart, please. Very good question. Very good question. And I think the answer is absolutely we're going to grow it. I mean, that's a clear focus for us. I think initially, like as you would know, getting good people into the regions is difficult. We're going to leverage as much the capability that we have in the Americas and complement that with where we've got any gaps. But the model that we have here is what we want to take to the rest of the world. So between the two organisations, what do we need to do to get the capability we've got here, we will do, including the remote capability as well. So absolutely. And you're in the lead for that training. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's think it's kind of a branding issue, but that's not really. We're all engineers, you know, so we'll figure out the branding. So yeah. So what we are, you know, we're strengthening our supply chain, and I think we're looking at, for example, as far as the instruments and support is concerned, to have a much more global footprint, not just here, but we want to manufacture here and in various other locations, and also have local support in various locations around the world. But already with the Molycop acquisition, we actually have people that now directly work with Process IQ in Canada, the USA, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, Peru, Australia, and you know, so we already immediately had a much bigger footprint. That's excluding the support that we can get from the likes of Levy's application engineering group, which is basically metallurgical engineers based all around the world as well. So, and you know, we are working out how we all going to support each other in that respect as well. So I do think the clients, at the end of the day, that's our objective, is for the clients to be the winners out of this. You know, we've always said if the client wins, then we all win. You know, that's basically our values in Process IQ, and it's very closely aligned with Molycop's values as well. Is there anybody else that wants to ask a question? Otherwise, we'll get back to drinking some beers, and you'll be the lucky winner of a Molycop's tools training package. Yep. Well done.